1, 2, 3.
Yes, it's the Late Breakfast Show with your host, Bernie J. Mitchell.
Are you in?
Are you in? Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
So, and here we are on the Late Breakfast Show for attempt number 2 today, which is really exciting. And my esteemed guest today in the 90 Main Yard Studios is Mr. Steve Trister. How are you, Steve?
Doing really good. Thank you very much. It's Friday. And after this, I'm about to go and see my beautiful woman up north.
Up north. Do you want to start again now? You said up north. Anyway, we've only got a short amount of time. And
Is that the end? Is that it then?
Look, come on. This is, there's a whole audience here waiting for stuff.
Oh, right.
So word on the street, Twister, is you've gone all spiritual. And I wanted to know what that meant.
Spiritual?
Gone all spiritual.
The word on the street, what do you mean gone all spiritual?
That you're now the spirit warrior.
Well, I've launched a podcast called The Spirit Warrior, where I interview very conscious entrepreneurs about their spirituality and what it means to them, how it's impacted their journey, their daily practices. So I've always been spiritual, mate. I just haven't really sort of openly come out in public, which I've kind of done that about the last year and a half, and that's very much a part of who I am.
So how did coming out feel? How did coming out feel?
Oh.
And what did coming out mean, actually? That's what I mean.
Okay, so as well as doing all my public speaking and communication training, I've been, I feel awkward even saying this right now. And fuck it, I'm going to say it because it's part of who I am. I do some really woo-woo spiritual stuff, and I channel spirit, and I've been doing it since I was 17. 17 to 21, I dived in. Then I shut it off for over 10 years. And then about a year and a bit ago, I just had this calling to put a post on Facebook about it. And that was very much part of a piece of who I am. I just couldn't deny it anymore. And I felt like there was something bigger than me who wanted me to post about it. And so I did. And the response was phenomenal. And that was...
How many people stopped talking to you?
I feel like it was about 0.
And how many people went, oh, wow, I do that too?
Well, not necessarily publicly, but I had lots of messages personally from people. And actually, there were people on that thread. There ended up being about 350 comments on Facebook. And there was a lot of people that were like, oh, yeah, go for it, man. Or, yeah, I'm into this. And I'm like, oh, you are? It's just not something that people talk about in business or that until you get to know people personally. And even then, they might not open up. So I just feel that my journey over the last, 4 or 5 years has very much been about taking the leap and being vulnerable and sharing openly. And it seems to have inspired others to do the same or open up with themselves or whatever. I just feel like one of my paths is just to be really open and dive in the deep end, even when I know that it's a bit scary. It feels weird or vulnerable or, Don't
want to be going around being vulnerable, Steve. Let's go back a couple of steps there. What as people messaged you and talked about that, what was the difference? Or was there a difference between spirituality and as in channeling and that type of stuff versus religion? And what's the difference, or is there a difference?
Well, yeah, for me, there is a difference between spirituality and religion, because I feel like I don't follow a religion. I mean, I'm Jewish culturally. And I still feel Jewish because it's been very much part of my heritage. Now I'm getting a dinging in my ears, bro. Are you picking up on that or not? Is that just in my?
No, that's just in your ears.
Okay, wicked. Oh, it's one of the. That just could be one of the many voices, mate.
I thought that was a sign.
Yeah, but it's not anymore because I've closed it. So the religion is it's a set of kind of, for me, rules that you have to follow, scriptures and stuff like that. And, and people, the thing is, people follow them to varying degrees. And I think there's like 66,000 religions in the world. And for me, spirituality is all about how do you treat yourself and how do you go on that inward journey? And then conversely, how do you treat other people and, impact the world in a positive way? And yeah, I mean, it's about love. It's about compassion. It's about peace. It's about joy. Yeah, and it's about serving. I mean, serving humanity in whatever way you can, but serving yourself first, because you know, I don't believe you can serve and love others if you don't do that for yourself first.
So, how much of it is how does it affect your decision making or where you go? Is because you know, I grew up in a Christian family and a very nice Christian family, but they would Roman Catholic family even, and in that environment, people would look to the Bible for guidance, and they sort of blindly do what it says. And sometimes what it said told them to do in inverted commas was, you know, a really good thing, and some of it was very misguided. So how does your how does your spirit world?
Well, there was two questions you asked there. Is about how does it affect my decision making, and then also where I go. So let's start with the first one. My decision making.
Glad you noticed that. Sorry, thank you.
That's all right, mate. It's just that my brain can't compute, so I had to say it out loud so I can compartmentalize. Wow, that's a big word for 9:28 in the morning, mate. Jeez. So decision-making wise, and I feel like I have to go back to January the 18th, 2013, because this absolutely changed everything for me. And this is when I watched a film called Earthlings, which is about factory farming, the pet industry, the fur industry, science industry, cosmetic industry, any industry that uses animals in some way, animal testing or for their skin or animal flesh for whatever reason. And that film rewired my soul, bro. And it connected me back with me, what I feel for the first time in my entire life. Because I've been an actor since 2003, playing like characters, like completely far away from myself. And this was the first time that I got connected to, I felt like my divine nature, who I really am. So since then, and I chose to eat plant-based or go vegan or whatever you want to call it. So I don't wear any animal products. I don't eat anything with animal products. I don't use any products with animals in them. And that has absolutely 100% affected all my decision-making moving forward. So it's connected me to a level of compassion and love that I never knew existed. It's connected me to wanting to serve animals, the world, the planet, human beings in a way that I had never, ever done before. And this is really good timing, mate, the question about how does it affect where you go? Because literally, you know, so when people listen to this, it's at the time of speaking to you right now, about a week and a half ago, I had one of the most important weeks of my life. Because for a couple of reasons. I met the woman of my dreams, like completely and utterly. It's ridiculous how this has happened and beautiful. But one of the things, she's a psychic medium and also an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur as well. And she said, Steve, her name's Jolene Setterfield. And she says, Steve, I want to give you a reading, but it's really important that I take some time to get rid of all the, you know, all my own personal desires that I feel towards you and anything like that. So it's nice and clear. The energy is clear. So she did that. She took time, which I really respect. And then she left me like a 15-minute reading on WhatsApp on like the voice recorder. And I listened to that, mate. And I nearly lost my shit because she was telling me stuff that it was never possible for her to know. And there was nothing online about it. Like what I am like deep down, some of the struggles that I had that I never told anyone. And that resonated with me. And then when we spoke, I mean, because, you know, I've been backwards and forwards to California a lot this year, virtually every other month at some point. And I was going to move to a place called Encinitas, which had a massive spiritual community. And she said, well, why are you actually going to Encinitas? Why are you moving there? And I went, well, because I just have this real affinity there. There's a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs there. It feels great. And blah. She said, but why are you really going there? And something popped in me, mate. And I was like, I don't know. And then it sort of trickled. And then I just thought about, you know, my mum who had a heart attack in April and had a quadruple bypass. Then 3 months later, she had another major operation. I was just like, you know what? I need to be here. And actually, I felt like I was running away, you know, to be with.
I was going to say, was it an escape mechanism?
Yeah. And now looking back, absolutely. It was. And because I dived into the spiritual stuff so much, I hadn't had a balance of, you know, being an Essex boy who loves West Ham, you know, doing the communication and public speaking stuff in the business world in the UK. And it was my mum, it was actually having met Jolene, that was part of it as well. But this realization that I was running away to be with my people in inverted commas. And I thought, do you know what? First of all, how selfish is that I'm running away to be with my people when actually I've been put in the UK for a reason. My communication skills and public speaking stuff, you know, based upon the feedback and the results I've seen, has such a huge impact on people that what the fuck am I doing going there? I'm needed here. I'm
So
needed here.
are you back in the communication stuff?
Bro, I'm 100% in. Unfortunately, it's been a real blessing over the last few months. I worked with the new global CMO for Cisco and got her ready for Cisco Live to 11,000 people. And again, recently worked with another, I think the president of EMEA for Cisco, getting him ready for a big conference. I'm like, dude, this is the kind of people I want to serve. And also, wider people need to. They don't need to, but it's just. I have such a passion for it now. Now I'm back. I've fully committed to serving hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in the UK when it comes to communication and public speaking, and also the spiritual stuff as well with my podcast. But it was just like this massive aha moment where I just thought, you know what? It's now time for me to step back into who I really am and get that balance. Not just, yes, have the spiritual, but also have the real world, down to earth, grounded stuff as well. And it's such a relief, mate. Such a relief.
I'd venture to suggest it was really hard for me to listen to that and not make a joke. I'm really moved by the whole thing.
Thanks, man.
And that reminds me of when I did your communications course. You said you always have to. One big takeaway was you always have to chip in and say something, and I find that really hard not to do. So me and a lot of people who are probably listening to this did your 2-day presentation course, and that definitely made us better people, Steve, but also opened up a lot of confidence when communicating. I didn't know that actually until we got on here, and so that is great to see, because I thought you were leaving a talent on the shelf there.
Oh, thanks, man.
Should we have a virtual hug and all that type of stuff?
Yeah.
I'm going to savor that moment and then move on to the Earthlings movie. Made I'm halfway through because I just haven't got the balls to watch it all yet. But that's
fair
really
play to you, man, for even watching it halfway. You know me, from minute 2.5 to minute 75, I sobbed like a baby and I couldn't watch the last bit.
I was already looking. Both me and Super Cool Wife were looking at how we eat our food, and we've always been very conscious of that. But since having that, I've eaten like 2 sausages, and that's only because they were in the freezer, and some fish. So it's. But what if we can do a bit of live coaching here, Steve? Is how do I wander around, or how do you wander around doing that without being a self-righteous prick?
Yeah.
Actually, I wrote that on a blog the other day. I'm being a food snob and a self-righteous prick, but I'd rather you think I was that than be depressed. That comes with eating crap food and skinning animals alive.
Yeah, geez, man. Well, it's a really lovely question, and something that I was very conscious of. Because here's the thing, I ate animal flesh for 32 years of my life, so I can't eat plant-based or vegan or whatever you want to call it, and all of a sudden start judging people. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's not possible. And also, I happen to believe in free will and karma, so I've never told to anyone, you need to go vegan or go vegan, because I don't have a right to say that. I'm imposing my views on someone. I would never do that because that's bad juju. All right. That's what I believe. But
what I only don't want to be a bad Jew.
Yeah, exactly. But it's what I am committed to is sharing my story, and that is the thing, and sharing from the heart how I feel about something, and asking questions. And I want to have a genuine conversation. Now, what I have an issue with is there is a lot of angry vegans out there, and I get why there's anger. I really do, because it's horrific what's going on. I've just never felt anger towards other people. I just felt a sense of, wow, if I want to be able to talk to people and converse with people who eat animal flesh and consume animal products, then if I'm going to get angry, they're not going to respond. They're either going to get angry back or they're just going to switch off. Well, how does that give me an option to actually have a decent conversation with them? And you know what? They're still human beings, right? They still have a heart. They're still, for whatever reason. So I want to be able to talk to people. I don't want to be speaking to vegans all the time, because what's the point? I want to be speaking to people who aren't that way inclined, and just have a conversation to see where their mind is at and see where they're at. And the minute I do that, every single time I have a really positive, constructive conversation. And a lot of the time people just go, well, I just want to turn a blind eye to it, because it's either too painful, or they like the taste of animal flesh too much. And that's what's interesting, is that when I look back and at animal flesh, I never considered it as animal, and I can't even call it just steak. It's literally animal flesh to me now. So that's what I call it. That I'm not doing it for effect, but I can't call it anything else because that's what it is. But I just realized it was only for the taste. It was never because it was an animal. And if I'd actually got connected with my heart, genuinely and compassion at the time, and felt that, I would have gone, fuck this. It would have been gone a long time ago. But that, for what my journey was, I had to watch Earthlings for that to happen.
Have you seen a movie called? Have you seen a movie called Food Inc.?
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen it. I know there's a lot of great movies out there, and I know Earthlings is the hardcore-ist one. It's known as the vegan maker. Yeah. So, you know, it was painful, man. It was the most soul-destroying thing I've ever seen, but it was meant to be, you know. So, did that answer your question about being a self-righteous prick?
I still walk around, not just when it comes to food, being a self-righteous prick. So all the help you can give me on that, I'll be welcome. What was can't say can we?
Can't say
how much of it? How much of it is about education? Because I thought I knew about food because, you know, I trained as a chef and worked in lots of restaurants and everything like that. And, you know, I'm not a foodie, but, you know, I think I know a lot about food. And then, just because of, you know, my state of mental health, I've been tracking down where food comes from when I quit sugar. And, you know, a lot of being vegan was to do with being clear and, balancing my body out. So, when you talk to people, do they, you said that they turn a blind eye. Do they actually understand the process that a lot of food goes through?
I feel like intuitively know that it gets, you know, the throat slit, hung upside down, skinned alive, and all that kind of. But because it's so painful for people, and I feel like people get very tunnel visioned in their own life, and I've been there, absolutely, and they just don't want to know the truth because it's too painful. And you know, as humans, we don't really like to feel pain. We don't really choose to feel pain all the time. It's not very nice. So with regard to it being about education, for me in the first instance, it's about actually connecting with the person and finding out what that is. Is it because of pain? Is it because they don't want to do it, they can't be asked, or they're numb, or whatever it is? And what I do know is when people open up their hearts, like I opened up my heart and felt compassion more than I ever have done, the logical thing for me was, there's no chance I'm going to eat animals. I'd much rather stroke them and cuddle them. And I honestly believe if as a race we give animals the chance to have a space with us where they can show their feelings and emotions, all they are is unconditional love. You know what I mean? The ones that we've domesticated, you know, obviously not wild lions and stuff, but it's the ones that we've got a massive debt to animals in shelters, in all kinds of things that we've created as a race. You know, we've domesticated so many animals and they need our love and attention. Like right now, it's why I can't stand puppy mills and people who buy puppies from breeders, because there's all these other animals that are desperate for genuine love. And they're the ones that give more unconditional love than any animal.
Puppy mills are factories.
Yeah, factories. And they're horrendous. And also like breeders are people who want like pedigree dogs to show, and I personally don't agree with it. I'm like, well, what do you want? It's a dog. Like, give it love, let it love you back. I mean, showing it to win an award. I mean, it doesn't give a fuck about that. You know, it just wants to give love and have fun and give it back. And there's a lot of ego stuff around that for me. You know, the whole showing off thing. And I'm just like, well, you know, that breeds more puppies, more breeding, inbreeding, and then they have all these fucking illnesses that are horrible just because humans want a dog that looks a certain way. I mean, fuck off.
I'm getting angry too, and we've only got a couple of minutes left. I want to. We will come back to that at one stage because that does the economics of food and breeding and everything does make me. Bleh. So we're gonna leap from breeding and to Brené Brown and vulnerability and awareness, because one of the things I'll be forever grateful for is when you said watch this Brené Brown video. And me and Super Cool Wife, I read a lot of her books, and that has massively. I'm so pleased I came across that stuff just before I became a parent as well, because it did help me. I'm still getting over myself, but it did help me get over myself. But the something that comes with being vulnerable, that you become speaking of personal experience, have become more and more self-aware. So I'm on this quest for self-awareness. And what's the what would you have to say about that? That wasn't really a question, but
No, it wasn't. That's pretty. I mean, can you be a bit more specific, bro? It's
going back to the turning a blind eye thing, and tunnel vision, and then when if maybe you can find a way to open up and become self-aware about how you interact with people, what you can give to the world, what you take from the world. How does that connect with what you're on?
I'm still not sure I get the question. I'll talk about vulnerability then, mate. And
go for that. Pretend,
pretend there was a question in there.
Yeah, nod politely.
Okay, I'm nodding now. Okay, I feel like I get a sense of it, bro. So when I watched that film, about 20 minutes after, I filmed a video to my iPhone, and I'd been sobbing like a baby, and I was still pretty emotional in the video. It was 2.5 minutes long. It was shitty lighting. It was on my iPhone in my bedroom.
I remember watching it.
Yeah, and I just posted it to my Facebook profile in the hope that 1 or 2 people would see it. And it was raw, it was emotional, and I did actually, because I was very self-conscious at the time, I did go, yeah, take the piss all you want, because I was being vulnerable, and it's not something that I'd done a lot of on Facebook before, it was just real raw, and the video went viral, mate. And to date, it's had over nearly 4,000 shares on Facebook. I think it's over 21,000 views on YouTube, and it was just real and raw. And a lot of people said they connected with it because it was a guy being vulnerable. And it's in a world of social media and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of people out there that are putting on this brave face. They're putting on these lies that are going on social media. And I've been there and done it myself. I'm not saying I've never done that, but it's just this whole looking like everything's okay when behind the scenes things are going to fucking rat shit, and people are in horrendous positions, either emotionally, financially, or whatever. But because of social media and Facebook, and we feel we have to put up this image that everything's rosy when it's not. And there's been times where I've put up some really vulnerable videos and I've shit my pants completely. And you know what? I've either had one message or 2 messages where people have gone, "Thank you so much. I'm going through this myself." And that has always been my thing about vulnerability, is that, you know what? I don't care if there's not hundreds of people that resonate. If it changes one person's life, and the reason I'm doing the video or doing the thing in the first place comes from love and compassion, then I'm happy, man, because we can change the world one life at a time, or impact the world one life at a time, and that for me is not overwhelming. It's much more achievable.
And that seems like a good place to end, Steve. That's nearly what I was looking for. I'll come back another time with a more concise question. But
okay,
where can people find you online, and what's that groovy little ebook that I can get from your website?
Oh, mate, that might not be available anymore. So they can go to, if they're spiritual and they're entrepreneurs, they can go to thespiritwarrior.com. I'm literally in the process of getting a new personal website relaunched again, because now I've come back and committed to this whole communications that I really want to get me out there as a brand now, and I shied away from that for a long time. But I'm on Twitter at Steve Trister. I'm on Facebook, steve.trister. I'm on LinkedIn, and we can connect that way. And then,
where do you like to chat most? And
Facebook I get a lot of interaction on Facebook, and I'm starting to use Twitter a bit more. And LinkedIn's cool as well. Yeah.
I'd love to see you more on Twitter. That's where I hang out.
Yeah, but Facebook has been the big one for me, man. I get crazy interactions when I post stuff, so that's naturally where I've gravitated to.
I know. I can feel like we're going into a social media clinic now, but thank you very, very much for your time. And
Thanks, brother.
We'll see you we need to go for that Indian vegan food again.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me on here, man.
Yeah, lots of love. Thanks very much.
Love you, Bernie.
Ciao. Love you too.
Please go to berniejmitchell.com/podcast. Bernie would love your feedback.